Hello and welcome back to F1 Manager 24 and Creator Team Mode here at the end of the season. We'll start with finances just so you don't think I've done anything weird about it. I have put the extra 20 million in just to make sure there's no shenanigans with the way the game works. Because the game, I've heard reports essentially that effectively the money goes in and out in the wrong order that can leave you in debt because of the way that happens. Accidentally. It might be another classic case of Frontier changing something and not realizing the knock-on effects, essentially of taking the sponsorship out of the end of season stuff and putting it like a day later means you then pay money and then get money in that order rather than doing it all as part of the same process, which can leave you in debt for essentially a day, but that hurts the board's confidence. Being in debt for literally a second will make the board hate you. So just to avoid that potential shenanigan, I put money in just to then take out again in the new year. Don't worry, I'll do that. I'm going to have to change the race schedule anyway to match the 2025 calendar, so I'll do it as part of that same process. I will also do it because I have also similarly gone through and refunded everyone for their extra powertrain parts the same way that I did it to myself. I'm obviously keeping that fair, so the AI teams now have all that money back as well, which will help them in the future as well with facilities and signing drivers that are actually worthwhile being in F1, which has been a bit of a problem. But the AI don't refurbish facilities, which is the problem. This is kind of the core problem for long-term saves, is the fact that AI do not refurbish their facilities. So going forward, instead of just refunding them the money for their powertrain parts, which I'll keep a thing, even though I think in the future the prize money that we're going to get for finishing in the championship will add maybe to the board money that we've had over the course of the year. So that will actually give us more money next year. That essentially extra 40 million we'll have next year than this year, because as a creative team, of course, we don't have a historic prize money share. So that, I think that's the money that's been absent, and that's the money that's essentially been missing in order for just to actually survive this year. Because otherwise we would have either had to done no research whatsoever or just never change the engine parts, which frankly would have been impossible in this situation. I obviously charged him for the sixth one because that one, the first free one, even with the first free one, we literally would have made the end of the season with this, because this one's seen a few races on it already, so all of them would have been under 20%. There's no way we would have made the end of the season because I wouldn't have even been able to afford that one. So I wouldn't have had any gearboxes. There's no way I could have actually afforded to get to the end of the season. And the game doesn't prepare you for that at the start of the year. As a returning player, the game doesn't prepare you for that severe lack of money in season one. So if I'd known that, I would have started with more money, frankly. Because essentially what you need to do is by the point in the season where you have used all four of your engine parts, and if anything were to happen, you would have to then be forced to go into a new powertrain part. You would have to have a bank of 17 million just in case both cars entirely obliterate themselves. That's how much it costs to replace all the powertrain parts on both cars. 17 million. You have to have saved 17 million essentially by roughly the halfway point when you've run out of everything, which is impossible in season one. Unless you don't do any development at all. You can look there as well. I've only done third spec on chassis, front wing and rear wing, side pods, underfloor and suspension. I only did one new design over the course of the entire season. And when I did the rebalance, when Frontier did the patch that rebalanced new saves in terms of performance index, when I did that rebalance in game to help tighten up the field and kind of reflect that patch and bring it into this save manually, I got to see what spec all the AI teams were on. Some of them were on spec 7. Frankly, they should be spending some of that money on refurbishing the facilities instead of building a better car, but you know, that's for Frontier to sort out. The fact I've only done essentially 9 designs and I've only done 1 research on everything. I think I did 2 researches on chassis, so I've done 7 sets of research and 9 sets of designs. That's all I've done over the course of the season. Some people have made 7 of one of these alone. Sorry, I suppose it'd be 6 versions of one of these alone. And I think the lowest new spec was like 4 or 5. They are doing so much in the sense of design. I don't think they're doing enough research of Venice, but the fact they're doing so much in design helps counterbalance that. And I'm gonna pull back the hood a little bit because this actually has confirmed something that I saw. I already started to record this once, got through, and then realised I missed something. Nothing changed. Literally nothing happened in December, but except for the fact that Oscar Piastri went to 89 and Charles Leclerc went to 88, which does confirm something. I will manually put him back to 89 because this is a problem with the game. As soon as a driver hits 26, 27, they will start regressing if they're an AI driver, because the AI don't refurbish. Hopefully, by continuing with my balanced system of refunding the first powertrain parts and diverting that money for the AI, instead of just giving them the money, I will just divert it straight into refurbishing. That should help them, obviously prioritize the teamer, because that's what's causing this regression in particular. They're not getting that development boost. That should prevent this regression of drivers who are still only mid-20s, realistically. Gary goes to 80. He's leaving us. We have done like I say, we have done research there, but that's literally the first bit of suspension research was done. James Vowles, hello. I wish this got brought to our attention. Wanted to offer you my congratulations. We put up a good fight. I mean, to be fair, we put up the best fight we could, frankly. When you are 120 points behind the next best team, it is... Aston Martin actually still pipped it in the end, remarkably, despite the 1-2 in the final race. And McKennion goes to 81. He's leaving us. So, end of season. 2.9 million. Our marketability goes up. And yeah, the money balance system, if it wasn't for the 17 million we got through race targets, we wouldn't have, even with the refunding of engine parts system that I did, the first ones, we still wouldn't, that literally covered all of that. I've only got 3 million in the bank right now. The race targets alone is what saved us in that respect. So even with my system, we were still on the borderline. We were 10th in that with 600k for that. It's not great, is it? Board's high confidence though. Chassis registers came in the same day. Mick Schumacher got 8 points. Maloney got 9. We got 17 and 7th. That's team rating is 2 stars next year. We finished 7th. Maloney, my principal rating goes from 250 to 450. Our constructors goes to 227. So our total team rating is 327. Still underdog. They give us 101.5 million. Like I say, it's not enough. Regulation changes is literally just the technical changes. So I'll pop in that save. And we'll do the roster reveal, because I really want to know what's going on with the 4 drivers that don't... Some of them were contracted for multiple years. It is worth remembering. But Lando Norris isn't contracted for next year. So if I click switch team, we'll just do accept new target. We'll go back and accept new target. But we'll do switch team to reveal the drivers. And in theory, it should be exactly the same as if I hit that button on January the 1st. Right, so I'll just hover over my team, because obviously our drivers haven't changed. And nor has the car, of course, because I'll reveal that in due course. But you can see next year we have lined up Pierre Vacher as technical chief, Peter Padruma for head of aerodynamics, Toby Brown for now remains a sporting director, Randeep Singh should in theory be out of a contract and available, Hugh Bird as Mick's race engineer, Ogle as Zane's still. So we will go in order of championship finish. Alpine finished last, actually, in the end, behind Haas, Sauber, Williams, and then ourselves. So we'll start at the beginning. We can actually go up to Aston Martin if we wanted to. We couldn't do the top 4. Red Bull, because I think both Max and Lando were without a contract at the end of the year, so there could be a huge change here. That's already a new driver, because they don't have a face. That's a faceless driver for number 1 with Carlos Sainz. I'm sorry, it's Enzo Fittipaldi and Carlos. What is going? They've got 10 affiliates as well. I think the AI just immediately fill up all 10 affiliate spaces, which might be why they've got very little money for actual drivers. That might be part of the problem. Enzo Fittipaldi and Carlos Sainz in car 2, weirdly. So both Red Bull drivers have changed. Max Verstappen has vanished. They appear to have stolen the entirety of Ferrari apart from Jonathan Wheatley, which is incredible. Like, they've literally taken Ferrari's technical chief, head of dynamics, I think, and both race engineers, and then stolen Jonathan Wheatley from, I believe he's at Mercedes. Oh no, I think he's already there. I think he's already that one. I can't remember, actually, which team he's not at to begin with, but he's either at Red Bull already or he's at Mercedes. I forget which. I think he's already at Red Bull, because I remember when I was scouting, he said he was at Red Bull and he was contracted to Red Bull again. Okay, right. I'm also fascinated by McLaren, because I have a feeling Lando Norris is not going to be there either. Oscar Piastri's still there. He was still contracted for another year. He's car 1, incidentally, so that's why he's appeared first anyway. I'm sorry. What? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing, McLaren? The man Oscar Piastri replaced is back. What are we doing, McLaren? What are we doing? I wish we could hide the UI on this screen. Right. Okay, well, I don't need to look at that. I can have a look at their... They brought Bono in, though, and Ron Meadows. I don't know where Tondi was originally. I'm actually not sure about Enrico Balbo now I think about it, because I think he might have been the Ferrari one, Diego Tondi. So where's Max? Where's Lando? And are they free agents? Because what is going on here? They've got to have gone somewhere, surely. Ferrari, Merc is still available. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton's seat is vacant because he's coded to go to Ferrari anyway. So actually, Ferrari, I'm expecting it to be Lewis and Charles Leclerc. It is still Charles Leclerc. I saw his contract was till 2026. This should be Lewis Hamilton because the game is hard-coded to do that, I'm pretty certain. Or not. Why is Dennis Hauger in their car? He's supposed to be my affiliate. They stole Matt Harmon off us, I don't know why. But they've also got Tom Stallard off McLaren and Ian Grieg from Aston Martin. Lewis Hamilton should be coded into... I thought Lewis Hamilton was hard-coded. I might have to fix that. All the others can stay the same, but I feel like I should put Dennis Hauger back in our affiliate program and put Lewis Hamilton in that second car. Because if Lewis Hamilton doesn't have a drive, then I'm probably definitely going to have to do that. If Lewis Hamilton's got a drive, I might leave it. George Russell remains at Mercedes. George Russell is car 1 as well. Lewis Hamilton is 2 because of the aesthetics of the yellow. Oh, that's where Max Verstappen is. Okay, that's a powerful team. Okay, so they're going to be dangerous. Also, just note the fact they have 10 affiliates. They've got 8. McLaren only have 5, and they were trying to steal all of them. Okay, now for the teams that we could actually technically go to that we're not going to. Aston Martin. That's a Valtteri Bottas. And who is second? That is Felipe Drugovich. I didn't know he had a face in the game. Fascinating. It's interesting. They picked up Stuart King as a race engineer. Stuart King was a free agent from when I swapped him back over for Matthew Ogle at the beginning of the year because I got it wrong. So that's quite funny. He's actually got picked up. Right then, RB, Tsunoda and Ricciardo. So Ricciardo's gone. We know that one already. Tsunoda's still there in his elongated form. I mean, I'm very surprised. I mean, race winner Yuki Tsunoda now is joined by... Logic would be Liam Lawson. No, that's Alex Albon, which also weirdly is logical as Red Bull staples. That is actually weirdly logical. All right, we know what we've got. So Williams now have a vacancy, which Carlos Sainz hasn't gone to, incidentally. So diversion already from real life. Williams, Kevin Magnussen. We're going to have to now pay attention to Haas, of course. Logan Sargent, does he still have a seat? What? Okay, so I'm not changing this then. Lewis Hamilton not at Ferrari. He does have a seat. I have no idea how this has happened. So fun fact, when I was in the editor and looking, I can't remember what I was looking to fix. I accidentally ended up on the staff pages. It does tell you on that where people are going if you look hard enough, and it was early enough in the season there was only a couple of changes. It did tell me that Fernando Alonso was going to Mercedes, and I hinted at I knew where Fernando Alonso was going earlier on to replace Lewis Hamilton, who was going to Ferrari. Those were the only two at the time that were coded in. That's not happened. So weirdly, I think I'm actually safe to look at that page now because something has happened in the meantime to have changed these contracts, which I'm weirdly not mad about. Logan Sargent is in the Sauber. Good luck, mate. So is Joe you still here? No, Pierre Gasly has joined Logan Sargent at Kick Sauber, which will be Audi. So Hulkenberg's still at Haas, maybe? Who have we not seen any sight of? Lando. We've still not seen any sight of Lando or Fernando, for that matter. Any other big names that we're missing? Obviously, Hulkenberg should be at Sauber, but he was at Haas to begin. No Ocon, but he's at Alpine to begin with. And they're last. Théo Pourchaire enters Haas, which makes sense, in a way. More sense that he would have gone into the Kick Sauber, considering that's where he is the development driver. But Nico Hulkenberg ends up staying at Haas then, alongside Théo Pourchaire, which is weirdly, I think, roughly what I did at the Haas Sauber last year. And that just leaves an open spot where Gasly was. See what I mean? There cannot be an open space. And a totally new driver. So there's no Lando, no Ocon, no Fernando, which I think is right because there's 3 new drivers in Hauger. Oh no, there's no Lance Stroll either. I completely overlooked the fact Lance Stroll was missing from Aston Martin as well. No Lance Stroll either. Oh, I need to know which one that is, actually. It's Paul Aaron. Not even one of their own development drivers has gone in that role. It's not Jack Doohan. It's not even Lawson, who would be available in that sense. It's Paul Aaron and a vacant role. Cool, okay. Well, we'll click on us and click switch team. We'll put in a safety save just in case. We'll look at all this. I don't think any of this will change, incidentally. So it does appear that we do get more money at the start of every... So this does answer a question I had, is whether prize money does add to the board payment or if it would be sort of reflected in it. But yeah, this, if I hadn't put 20 million in, we'd be in debt. Car development. I don't know why it says 28 million for car development. We haven't done any. It's January the 1st. Why would we have spent any money on car development? Our research hasn't been great in some cases. Like this one's really bad, but our front ring is decent in tire preservation in some areas, but then bad in the airflow stuff. Of course, that's where it's been hit hardest. So some of our stuff is like really badly hit because we didn't do much research in it, but everything else remains the same. Now I can only assume, actually, does everything actually, do they actually assign prices to this anymore? I don't think they're assigning prices to the engines anymore, which is maybe what was part of what the car development is then, is the engine, which is fine. But we are going to stick with the Renault engine because 2026, I will change the Renault engine to be the Audi engine because Renault in theory are going to Red Bull engines, is what the rumor was. I will change the Renault engine to the Audi engine. I'll also give Aston Martin the Honda Red Bull engine because I can't have a fifth engine. So I'll just, the closest one would be the Red Bull one because obviously that's built with the knowledge from Honda, even though they are going to be separate entities at that point, I suspect. So technically there'll be 6 engine manufacturers on the grid. If Renault stayed, there'll be 6 engine manufacturers on the grid in 2026. But if Renault do go to Red Bull, there'll be 5. But you can't obviously simulate that. But we'll stick with the Renault engine. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't charge you for the engine on top of the development. So that's what the development is then. That's part of what that is. That's fine. So once we get the sponsorship money in, I'll take that back out again. So just as a test, I'm doing this live because I want to see if it actually does stay the same. Accept new target instead of clicking switch team. I want to see if everything is exactly the same as it was. Sticking with Renault. All right, so the money is exactly the same. Obviously, that's not going to be different. We will... Oh, this is new. Actually, they've changed the way this is done. I've had a quick look at the drivers, and they are different. So I'm just going to see by the time we get the email through about where the drivers are, if that's different. I'll try and do this exactly the same or as close as I can if I reload the other save. Okay, so it doesn't save it. So, okay. Because there's a difference there already, so I can't. We will stick with the original one that you just saw, because then I actually start with the car part development now. Of course, we have less hours of everything this time around, so we'll still pop them into 2 parts apiece per section. We'll put in the same set of sponsors that we had on that one, provided they're all actually here. I think they are. That's good. So that's the total funding for the next year. Upfront, 22 million. So you saw the fact we ended that with 9 million. So this would be the 22 million upfront that would have counterbalanced that. So I'll take 20 million back out again once we get this money back in. Right then, suits changed slightly, but most importantly, car changed. That is the full car, keeping the same idea of the green metallic, but now with stripe form. It was very difficult to place sponsors on the stripy bits, so I've avoided them. Otherwise, use main sponsor on the back, of course, and on the most prominent spot I could actually use on the sides. This is ACGP for round 2. Now's my time to actually completely destroy my pit crew, and I will also change the calendar, so I'll see you in a moment once I've done all that. So there we go, new schedule back in the order that they should be in reality. The second half is basically the same, actually. I think the second half is exactly the same, but the first half does start with Australia, then goes to China. The only sprint race change actually is Austria is now Spa. So going forward, we might change those sprints quite dramatically, but we'll keep it as is for now. We'll get our first ratings increase. Peter Pedromo goes to 87. And actually, it's probably worth looking, because I don't think it'll be on the email. Actually, out of curiosity, who's in F2? Curiously, both of our drivers are driving for the same team in F2. We've inadvertently created a B team in Dams Lucas Oil. Dino Boganovic and our new gen driver, Olivier Carpentier, are in there. I have to say, Trident's lineup is quite overpowered for F2. Albie Pulling gets an F3 seat in Prima Racing. Vitex don't have any attachment whatsoever. And Taylor Barnard, when I was being demoted to F3, I can't remember, but MP Motorsport. So all 4 of our drivers are in a seat. So I don't know if this driver roster, which was 4 weeks old, will actually still have the seat for Alpine. Lando did end up in Alpine. So they did take the highest rated driver that was remaining, which makes sense. The early enthusiasm has quickly evaporated as, yeah, they're still happy with everything. Don't like the car performance. That's a good point. Base car performance isn't great. Decent here, though, apparently. Weirdly, we've switched over to January the 1st and we've only got 4 million. I don't think prize money's being paid out. I did almost forget about Randeep Singh. Thank you, Randeep. All right, that'll help things. Much better training rate, much higher ceiling, of course, and less fatigue to boot. So thank you, Randeep. Sorry, Toby, completely forgot about that. Did kind of string you along there a little bit. In all that, I genuinely forgot that Sergio Perez was also a free agent. So Perez are control all free agents. And Fernando of 43. Kind of almost feels right for him to let him retire, to be honest. Oh, Charlotte actually maintained his 89 this time around, so that's actually better. Wild that Lando's at Alpine. I'll stick with my drivers, I think. I don't think... Mick's obviously 78, but I don't think they're that much of an improvement. All right, so we actually get to do a sponsor plan now. Don't actually get to do one straight away for some reason. They're using the wind tunnel. Oh, this is already bigger jumps in terms of engagements. Should make life a little bit easier. So none of these, annoyingly, are some big tough asks in that one, but fun already in the sense that we put 2 new car parts on, and immediately that's made us so much better in a lot of areas. Still says we're 19th overall. Our top speed is hilariously bad. The 13th on the grid. It's a high-speed circuit, of course, which doesn't really help, I suppose, at Australia. I'm treating it what we're like in Monaco with low speed. 21st. Okay, that makes no sense. Holy heck. Randeep Singh is a boss. Look how much more I can fill this in with the highest stress, fatigue-making activities. Literally 2 days prior, I can just get away with it. And then 3 days... It's a little bit longer on the third one for some reason, but I can get away with putting so much more in and them just still just being only tired for the race, because they can never not be tired just because that's what happens during the weekend. But we might actually start making progress in pit stops. Thank you, Randy. Pierre's not happy, mostly probably, I guess, because everything's so bad and he's really good. Kind of forgot about refurbing everything, if I'm completely honest. I'm trying to wait till I can actually improve them. Thank you for confirming our sponsorship now. I've already done that ages ago. New design period. Actually split this 50-50 this time rather than doing 30-50 by accident. How can you be unhappy at the staff, Mick? Oh, I suppose you don't have affinity with your engineer yet. That might be part of it. Yeah, they're both unhappy. Alright, so I'll just upgrade a few of the facilities that are dropping underneath in that section. That's sorted out Mick's mentality. He's actually happy that things are being upgraded now, so that's sorted that problem out, thankfully. It's made Zane actually happy too. Problem solved. Right then, Australia will actually do it. The reward money is higher. It's still 18th or higher, weirdly. But this is a particularly rainy practice on Friday, but everything else weekend-wise seems to be dry enough, so I'll see you for that. Here we go, first qualifying session of the season, and of course our pit box has moved up because that's a thing that happens in this game. Nice change, we're here, look, Williams behind us, RB in front of us. They may have been 100 points ahead of us at the end of last season, but nonetheless, they're still only next to us. 2 laps in our brand new car. Ferrari's come out in between us. That is Dennis Helger in the Ferrari. Traitor. Which was, I love the narratives of the fact it was the one driver we had the contract agreed with. I didn't pay anything for him, so it didn't make a difference because it was next season and he wasn't breaking a contract, so he was free. The Ferrari livery, I genuinely don't know the difference. Can't remember what the last one looked like, but it is an updated livery for Ferrari as well. And I'll try and see if we can get a good look at ours at any point in this lap. Not many people come out very early here. That's the best as we're going to get view-wise. Looks pretty clean, doesn't it? I should actually check if they've actually added more number types, colour-wise. If they've got an orange one, then I'll obviously put that on. Ferrari are one of 3 teams that have updated liveries. In fact, one of them's come out. Alpine with an updated livery. And as we complete our second final lap, the third and final one have come out as well, which is Merc. Oh, there's a good point. I'll remember that as a point to pause things on. But yeah, Merc have got an updated one as well. They're the only 3 I did. I'm just trying to be a little bit sparing because obviously I know next year we'll be swapping probably Red Bull to Red Bull Ford version, Aston Martin to the Aston Martin Honda version, and of course Kick Sauber will go to Audi, so there'll be 3 next year guaranteed. So I'm just trying to spread them out as much as I can, just so we don't do them all at the same time. I am praying those first runs are enough to get us through. Zane Maloney's probably fine in 7th because I didn't save soft tyres during the rain on purpose because I know that Australia kind of favours the medium tyre. It's a little bit tyre hungry, so having as many fresh medium tyres as possible could be really, really helpful. So I'm praying we can get through on 1 set of softs. Well, I think I probably overdid it because you get 2 mediums anyway, thinking about it. Probably didn't need a third. Hamilton confirmed to be behind. Verstappen might have had a mare there because I don't think the Merc is that bad. Russell is ahead after all. Piastri and Ricciardo 1 and 2, the Australians in the Australian home race. That's a welcome sign for them. Someone just moved up the order. I think it was Hulkenberg up to 15th. Fittipaldi in his first race is 10th in Q1. Verstappen goes 7th. There we go. Mick actually does improve on used tyres, surprisingly ahead of Russell. And there are 5 people already confirmed worse. Sonoda, I have no idea what's happened with there. Oh, because he hasn't come out. He did a bad lap and then didn't come out. The last race winner is starting last. Paul Aaron, as I was about to say, he's out-qualified Lando Norris, but Lando Norris has actually come in. He has out-qualified him. Magnussen, are you doing anything? No. So there we are. The first casualties are Yuki Tsunoda, Lando Norris, insane. Pierre Gasly, Paul Aron, Kevin Magnussen, Felipe Drugovich, who I genuinely forgot was in Aston Martin briefly there. And, yeah. Also, I did overlook the fact that Zhou Guanyu was missing as well. So, Sargent survives and all of those people don't. Righty-ho then, Enzo Fittipaldi has done a second lap, which has put him up to 10th. He was way off the pace. He was 3 seconds off the lead, so he was the only driver behind himself on the first run, which were done on 60-ish% tyres. So they were obviously going to be terrible, and I need to remember to push him from this point. Miles just to Maloney from there, so I saw that. In fact, we'll go on board with Maloney, so we can get the full lap in. Weirdly, there is a sponsorship logo here, but you can't see it. But the primary sponsor right there. I have to say, the primary sponsor that we've chosen this year, it looked all right on the side in its original colour. It was just weirdly blurry, and it looks weirdly blurry there as well. So I'm not super impressed with it. I am tempted to maybe just install the real sponsors stuff and then hope for the best that we picked good ones, because I won't be able to change them. I'm going to need you to get out of the way, Ferrari. Thank you very much. A lot of people have done their laps already, it is worth noting. Only Hauger, Pourchaire, Hamilton and Hulkenberg are on flying laps. And Pourchaire's just finished, actually. And so he stays 11th, Sargent, predictably. But in Q2, behind him, great work from Sargent, realistically. When you consider his teammate is Pierre Gasly, the fact he's out-qualified him immediately is quite funny, considering his struggles against Albon. Hulkenberg's crossed the line, he's also done. Pourchaire's out-qualified his teammate, the rookie. Sorry, Mick Schumacher. I know we brought upgrades, and our car was absolutely dog when we turned over the season. I know we bought 2 big upgrades in the meantime. Only Hamilton can stop this, and I think he is on a flying lap. But we're through regardless. Hamilton is out in his first qualifying in a Williams car. Carlos Sainz in second, Enzo Fittipaldi in 13th. That's quite a margin for that rookie driver to gain back. Valtteri Bottas in his first Aston through. Interesting, an Aston out in Q1. And an RB out in Q1, but both have one in Q3. Verstappen missed out in the Mercedes. I just saw that. Wow. A shock there for Max Verstappen, who weirdly can't seem to get a handle on that car that George has managed to find. Because that's quite a jump, actually. 7/10. Carlos Sainz didn't even do a second lap, though. He did one and went, that'll do. I then obviously used tyres, first run here. Incredible. Our first race in Season 2, and we have both cars in Q3 on their own merit immediately. I have a feeling this is actually only going to be qualifying pace, though, because I don't think we're that good. Our drivers didn't do a flying lap. They get a lap time in because you crossed the line before you exit the pit, so it counted that out lap as a lap. Shows you the difference, by the way, between manual and automatic is the fact that it's 14 seconds faster to do it on manual. We didn't do a flying lap, though, weirdly. It doesn't really matter. They were used tyres. We'll join Mick Schumacher for an actual flying lap this time, I hope. I have no idea what happened there, as he does have a Ferrari ahead of him, which I presume to be Dennis Hauger, since Leclerc still registering as an outlap. Ricciardo currently on provisional pole. In fact, provisionally it's an Aussie 1-2, much to the delight of the home fans. Hauger is a little bit far away from Mick. I don't think we're getting much of a tow, but I believe all 10 drivers are on track, so welcome to qualifying 3 shootout. It'll be the RB of Albon to go first, who was 2 seconds off the pace in his own right. I don't think anyone's on an in-lap either. I think they're all going. Oh no, I tell a lie. Pretty certain the Aston is done because he keeps getting past. But Albon finds 1.5 seconds and goes 5th. Mick, can you find 10 seconds, really? Hauger goes 4th. Mick's still 9th, hilariously. Piastri nicks pole off Ricciardo temporarily. Maloney's turned to cross the line. He goes terribly. What on earth happened there, Zane Maloney? Russell's done behind Albon, same time. But Albon did it first. Ricciardo, can he claim pole back from Piastri? He cannot. Leclerc's also done now, also stays 5th. And I believe the RB of Sainz was also done, as it so happened. It's the first race of the season in Australia. It starts with an Australian 1 and 2. What on earth happened to Zane Maloney? I mean, to be fair, his best time still would have been 9th.
Well, the fans here are all set, every one of them eagerly awaiting the 58 laps of today's race.
Albert Park often seems to set teammate against teammate, from Hill and Villeneuve dueling for the 1996 win to Bottas beating fellow Mercedes driver and pole sitter Hamilton to the win in 2019.
Albert Park is a deceptively easy track to learn, but it's just as easy to make a mistake around its walled sections and gravel traps. The street circuit is high downforce and just as heavy on brakes as it is on tyres. It's race day with the teams and drivers ready and raring to go.
Let's have a look at those strategies. It is medium, medium, hard according to that. I told them they were quite tyre hungry, and we have got 3 mediums, so if there is another safety car at the end, we can always go on that. It could work out in our favour in that respect. I was kind of hoping that would make more sense, but apparently not. Because I think undercuts are powerful. Oh, his actually has an aggressive hard at the end. What the heck? You can take 14 laps out here in Australia. That's incredible. Considering there are incidents here, I'm actually going to do the half, which seems insane to do. I really hope I can get this fuel back, because taking 14 laps out is baffling. Okay then.
Welcome back, everyone. The final preparations are now being made as we head into the race. Well, they certainly appear calm and composed heading into this race.
Starting P10 puts them in the right place to get some points, but there's still a lot to do.
Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
It's a good start from Mick Schumacher, up to 7th. What are you doing, Mick? You're not even the one that's going to be doing aggression on this stint, but I will say this livery is a little bit harder to distinguish from the Aston Martin, but we'll persevere. Next season it won't be as bad, of course, because they'll get a Honda-inspired livery, which will change them up a little bit, but unfortunately does relent to Albon and ends up 8th, but Maloney does at least get 10th back from Verstappen. We'll watch it, because we weren't really looking at him. It's baffling that I said the word Verstappen, and that's a silver hour that he's getting past. Thank you. World champion Max Verstappen there. Mick fending off Valtteri Bottas is probably enjoying life a little bit more this year in an Aston Martin, opposed to being in that Sauber. Kind of crazy that 2 experienced drivers, shall we say, in Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo have made significant upward moves. Ricciardo, of course, to go back to the team that he left originally. The only way this gets better for Daniel Ricciardo is if he ends up going to Red Bull at the end of everything. But frankly, right now, based on the end of last season, if everything stayed the same, McLaren should, in theory, have the best car still, provided there's not been any major swings. It's weird not hearing Gary, incidentally, but considering Sergio Perez vacated the sport entirely, feels less weird that we've got his race engineer now. I don't actually know where Lambiasi went to, because we know he's not at Red Bull, because Red Bull took both the Ferraris. In fact, is Lambiasi a free agent? If Lambiasi's still a free agent, genuinely I might be interested. On we go though, lap 3 beginning, status quo pretty much from lap 1 at least, because Mick's gained the place and did a fast, in fact, Zayn Maloney just did fastest lap. Mick did do fastest lap, but then Zayn was marginally faster than him, which is kind of wild. It was only freshly better than Sainz Mick's, but Maloney's was 7/10 better than anyone else. Zayn's 7/10 faster than anyone else on that lap is quite curious. Albon fighting George Russell immediately in front of Mick Schumacher here. We'll see how this fight develops. Albon's got Russell for the time being. Pretty much everyone in this front section has DRS. Leclerc/Ricciardo was the brake, but now that's come back into formation again. Maloney appears to be on 0 seconds to Bottas, so interesting. I believe he's got him. Good work, lad. We'll see if we get a different angle on that. Oh, we do indeed get a different angle on that. Fittipaldi in the Red Bull behind, and then that's Max Verstappen staring at the car that he should be in, really, behind him. Ideally, we can get Mick through Russell here, and we do. Wow, Mick, what a great angle to watch that from. I must say, Mick with ballsy moves for a person with medium aggression. His overtakes can sometimes be sensational. We had a good angle on that originally, but we'll watch that one again. Round he goes. I do enjoy that. It's Maloney's turn to stare at the back of George Russell, who's still going for it, of course. I just realised Mick's not actually conserving fuel. Seems to be recovering at a reasonable rate, so we're not going to panic too hard. Bottas going backwards now, sadly. He's behind Fittipaldi. I am surprised, actually, at the lack of inroads that Yuki Tsunoda's made. Considering Albon qualified and is seemingly doing fine in 6th, I am confused about this. I'm less confused by Norris because I don't think the Alpine's good yet. We don't know, obviously, what the pecking order is. Seemingly we've made inroads. Actually, speaking of inroads, Albon loses 2 places there. In P6 staring at Ricciardo, ultimately. Mick! Where was this? I mean, To be fair, I believe we are effectively 12 kilograms lighter than anyone else plus the fuel in the first place. So we're probably about 14, 15 kilograms lighter than the cars around us. This is probably a huge part of that. I've got a weird feeling that Australia, because seemingly of the fuel recovery rate, is going to be a big benefactor of this strategy. So hopefully if we pit early enough as well and get the benefit of undercuts, we can maybe get and cheese the confidence system as best we can, because that's got to be looking good for both of them. It is. That's looking very good for them. So Mick just looking after his tyres now. He'll get to his window, as will Zane Maloney, who is pushing his. It is absolutely incredible. It's lap 6 and Verstappen in 12th is in the chain of DRS from the leader. There are 4 DRS zones here, of course, which is a lot. There are only 2 DRS chains. Sargent leads the second one down to Norris, and then Magnussen just exists. Bless him. Piastri has developed an interesting fault, because it's not mechanical. There's been no crash, there was no yellow flag, so I don't know what he's done. Maloney making moves now on his aggressive strategy. He does have his teammate on the inside. I'm going to let it happen because I can't afford, I honestly cannot afford Maloney to be let through manually because there's too many drivers here. If I force team orders, then it will compromise Mick, although it's compromised Mick quite badly here because he's not in DRS. So if I let it naturally happen in the next DRS zone because Mick has dropped off because of the fighting, then it should in theory work. Oh no, actually he's gone back in again. And actually Maloney's gone backwards, so never mind. Unfortunately, I think we're starting to see a bit of the status quo at the back as Sargent has fallen to 20th. I don't know if he did soft to soft. No, he's just on the original soft. In fact, Albon has fallen to 12th, but he is pitting now, so that might be part of it. Sargent was doing relatively well, but now he's back to where the Sauber should be and where he should be. Fittipaldi overtakes Maloney is the sentence I don't want to be reading. Yes, Maloney has fallen off time-wise and will be pitting soon. Confidence is now going against him, unfortunately. Onto another medium. We'll just go full attack to get Fittipaldi back because he should have DRS on him. Verstappen really hasn't made much progress. Still only 10th. Oh, come on, Zane. Get him. Get that confidence up before you get in the pit here, mate. Mick, meanwhile, just still loving life, top 5. Still in the chain. Still got Russell behind. And kind of almost loath to pit him. But I imagine everyone else will pit around him, so he actually has the worst tyres of all of them, so he could probably pit first. Incredible that Zane actually didn't go forwards there during the double DRS, but yeah, confidence back to medium for Zane Maloney there. So he'll pop in the pits. And our first pit stop of the season shall be occurring now. Only person to pit out of the top 10 so far are Albon and Sainz. I presume Albon was still in the top 10 when he did it, but he's come out behind an Alpine, which is only going to hurt. Mick is going to come out behind, I believe, Yuki Tsunoda. This is a lovely spot to have dropped into, ahead of Albon. It's almost like we covered him off. In fact, unfortunately, he's going to have Albon with him, which isn't going to help. But while he's got his tyres up, he'll grab DRS off him. As Hamilton, the veteran, fights with Aaron, the rookie. I have no idea what's going on with Mick. Actually, Maloney, you need to pick up the pace, mate. Quickly. Albon's left you behind there. Sorry, Mick, are you... yeah, Mick is getting Dennis Hauger. McLaren's have gone 1-2. I didn't see all of this, so I do want to watch it again. Hauger's fighting his teammate, and then Mick just goes, "You all right? I'll have that instead, thanks." Russell's still on a soft behind. How has Russell kept those softs going? He's pitted now. Okay, that's how he's kept those softs going, because he took them right to the edge. But Leclerc doesn't have DRS right now. How is Mick Schumacher, like, in a totally different race to Zane Maloney? Ooh, he hasn't quite made that work. In fact, he's actually made it work against him because he's been overtaken. Arguably the better place to be right now because Hauger's probably the slower of those two drivers, so just grabbing DRS of him for the rest of time. That'll work. Fast Station doesn't know what the gap between Maloney and Russell is. 2. So he's actually gained time on him, I think. Zane probably will get a decent amount of confidence by fending off Aaron constantly here. But I'm just happy for Mick to continue being dragged along in DRS until his pit stop. Fascinatingly, Piastri pits first from the lead, so one Australian leaves the leading position to allow it to be taken over by his Australian teammate. McLaren, now arguably the most Australian team of all time. Obviously, founder, and now both drivers. Maloney has thankfully dragged himself away from the Hamilton-Aaron fight. As Mick thankfully just remains on the tail of Dennis Hauger as he comes into the pit. Ricciardo comes in. I suspect one of these two Ferraris will do as well. Neither Ferrari comes in. Interesting. Is it undercut time for Mick Schumacher on both Ferraris, perhaps? Of course, we don't have to go as far anymore, which means we're less likely to be held for anyone. A 2.4 stop. That's a great way to start the season. It's only going to be up from here as a Williams pit crew comes out to put a hard tyre on. That'll be for Hamilton. Mick Schumacher crucially comes out ahead of George Russell. Oh, although he won't be. He's mugged him off right there, but he'll have DRS. No, he won't have DRS. Of course, we've got new voice lines from Hugh Bird. You argue he probably has more lines to talk about front-running drivers because he was a Red Bull mechanic. So yeah, Mick, I need you to get up to temperature real fast and you're not recovering fuel, Zane. What are you doing? Like Hugh's very chatty. Russell will get Mick here. There's no doubt about it. Russell will get Mick here. I believe he's on a hard though. Yeah. So despite the fact he pitted many laps later, Piastri did come out ahead of Sainz still. And Ricciardo for that matter. Ricciardo got a big... Sainz got a big undercut on Ricciardo, I believe, because they were all in the fighting pack. But then Piastri also got an undercut because he pitted one lap earlier. Verstappen comes in. The Ferraris have stayed out again. And they're fighting each other. What strategy are they doing? Fittipaldi overtakes Maloney. Okay. Not quite sure what's happened there. But Maloney's got DRS on him. There's a Verstappen just right in the way. That's problematic for everyone involved. And it's cost Maloney big time because Bottas then got in the way. We'll leave them to that as we now try and deal with Mick getting Russell back again. I'm now fascinated to know what happens with the Ferraris. Try and keep Fittipaldi out of DRS range if we can. This strategy obviously intended to go hard on these mediums. There's a weird sentence to use considering the terminology, but that's it, Mick. Although arguably you want to be doing it on the second one. I just realised Ricciardo and Albon came out together. Leclerc now pits. This is going to be hugely bad for them. Still coming out, still coming out. Mick Schumacher is ahead, as is George Russell and Fittipaldi. Hugely costly undercut for Ferrari there. And they're still out with Hauger. Hauger's going to suffer even harder. I actually think Hauger might end up behind this entire train with Maloney. And it does indeed actually happen because that says Maloney takes Verstappen. Oh yeah, Verstappen's 12th. Okay, we'll watch that. I was a little bit confused because he was detached from this fight in front, so I'm guessing there's a huge amount of ghosting. I do apologise. I'm guessing something happened here to separate this lot out a bit. We're fighting the world champion. That's nice for him, I guess, even though he's now 1.5 seconds behind this too. But Hauger's come out with them on cold mediums, I imagine. As we start to approach halfway, 5 laps to go thereabouts. Mick Schumacher crucially did keep Russell and Fittipaldi behind whilst getting into Albon's DRS. So here comes this move. Hopefully, and actually not making it work there might work out for Mick Schumacher, because if you can make it work on the pit straight instead. What's Albon on? 66% medium tyres, so they are worse. He came in way earlier than everyone else. 1.5 seconds slower than Mick. Ahead of Albon in the first DRS zone, it is double DRS, so here we go again. Might be able to just drive away. And does. I do have to get him to conserve though, which is a bit unfortunate, because that will allow the drivers behind to catch up a little bit more. But we're maintaining a second or so gap to Fittipaldi for the time being. They'll eventually catch up. I can't do anything about that. I think realistically what's happening here is Russell is keeping Fittipaldi outside of a second on Mick. So Mick's just enjoying 4th, as that is now just one big train behind him, which doesn't include Maloney, weirdly, whose confidence is low. And I don't really understand why. He's not really been fighting anyone. His confidence should be high because he's getting undercuts. He should be going faster than them. Fittipaldi's made the gap, and he's made it stick and driven straight through Mick somehow. What is happening to George Russell, who hasn't pitted? No one's pitted a second time yet. But George Russell has fallen to 10th. I mean, it's one train from Mick. I don't know how Fittipaldi's getting away with this, by the way. It is one train from Mick, though. I need, ideally, for Mick to be able to hold on to someone. You know, it's quite an array of cars behind Mick Schumacher there, isn't it? And he's going to let 2 of them through. He's going to get pushed off the track and let 2 of them through. That might be why people lost serious time before. Okay, just keep him in that DRS train. That'll help. Maloney's in and out. Will come out with Pierre Gasly. Might just deploy to try and keep away from him while we get those tyres up to temperature. Just need you to stay in that DRS train, Mick. There we go. One train to Bottas still, though. I don't know what's going on with Russell. Really struggling as Russell. Zane somehow still hasn't got these tyres up to temperature after 2 laps, which is baffling. Albon pits early again, annoyingly. It's only 1 lap, though, ahead of Mick, so we shouldn't lose too much. And go full aggression. We'll pay attention to where he comes out. Yuki Tsunoda is on track ahead of Albon, so that's the gap we're aiming at, essentially. But I imagine we'll be behind Albon, because he was behind and he pitted a lap earlier. Sorry, Albon was ahead and he pitted 1 lap earlier. We were behind, is what I was getting at. Oh, no. Not now. Oh, it's Maloney as well. Oh, Maloney's out, isn't he? Bless him. Safety car. Who's done this, then? Who's at fault here? Because this is a 3-way fight, isn't it? Oh, it's Zane. What have you done, mate? Yeah, you have, Lewis. I apologise for his insanity. He was outside the point zone anyway, but cost us money there, Zane. You're not going to get 18th of that, are you? Fascinating to see what happens with everyone else. Because we've just been cost that because we came in the lap. 10-second bounty for Zane there. That's going to cost us big time because I don't think Mick's going to get ahead of any of them. Yeah, he's 10th. Don't need to get that fuel back now, though. Safety car in. I don't know why he's not got his ERS back, but considering a hard tyre just gets to the end, Ricciardo and Verstappen have gone for very interesting choices. Russell, Leclerc and Sainz, I suspect, will be able to do it on a conservative tyre strategy. So there are two places up for grab hits here, really, in the form of Ricciardo and Verstappen. Thank you, Hugh. There's obviously a certain amount of wiggle room in the tyres. Hugh Bird is very chatty. Everything that changes, I get a line for. But I am very fascinated by Verstappen and Ricciardo here, who feel like they pitted for being pitted's sake. Just want to see, incidentally. Okay, so a 4-push the entire way would actually be a problem, but that's going from the original, so there's a bit of a gap. A 4-push might just get to the end, realistically, on these hards, so I think a medium may actually be better than it first looked. However, those softs are not going to do it. And again, though, Russell detached from the pack pretty much straight away, but he's on mediums. I'm still attacking these tyres, mind, but I don't know why Albon's attacking me. I need to get Russell first. Right, so that's about as the extra I could take out of those tyres. There's 20 laps to go. Shootout really now. It's a sprint race for Mir, apart from the Sauber that's at the back. Sergeant. All right, Mick, if you can make this work. That was weird. I didn't actually change anything, and Mick said understood to what I said. I'm creeped out a little bit there. Okay, you can't...
But there's a lot of debris.
There's another safety car. It's too early. There wasn't enough of a gap built. An updated Alpine in Aaron, a rookie, unfortunately. Yep. Kind of the observer to the Hamilton crash, has then decided to then just repeat what Maloney did. That's not what you needed to learn from that. I don't know what to do here. Because we do have a medium, of course. But if we go on the medium, then we're not going to get to the end of the race. We will get to the end of the race, but we're going to lose so many places going on to a medium now. I'm curious to see what happens with Ricciardo. How does Aaron only get 5 seconds for that? The fact no one's come in, I think we stay out. Porsche, it was right for Porsche to do that because he was at the back anyway. Fittipaldi leads bafflingly from Sainz, Ricciardo, Leclerc and then Piastri, who's had some form of technical part issue, aerodynamic part issue, most of this race really. We've had a crash, but it's not cost anything. Magnussen's crashed on turn 7. Mick's currently in 11th, which isn't great. Ironically, there's nothing really now to lose from pitting onto a soft. So after deliberately saving a medium, is actually a soft that we needed. You even had an issue with that. There will be 3 laps to go, so really 2 because we got across the line, but 2 laps to get as many places as we can on soft tyres. Here we go. They're all on very used tyres as well. Norris, Drogovic and Porsche are there for the taking. Porsche, who pitted onto softs at the last pit stop, is now struggling on those softs. He must have very terrible smoothness. That's 1 place down. Maybe. Nope, actually Norris is full back there. That's a shame. I think we've got him this time, though. 1 car down. No, you can't be patient with you. Get all the places, get all of them now. Get the overtakes, get the confidence, get it all done now, Mick. Ugh, that's very awkward arrangement has not allowed him through there, unfortunately. Too many people fighting each other, but Mick on the outside of them all, who decides to duck in instead. What are you doing, Mick? Oh, Mick, what are you doing? That's not how you overtake, mate. You're on aggression. You're on aggressive overtakes, and you've just sat behind Porsche. Home race victory, though. What a frustrating end to what was a promising race. I figured it was going to fall away, but I wasn't expecting it like that. Oh, that's disappointing. Yuki Tsunoda actually gets a point remarkably out of that race. We do feature in the fastest pit stop for 2 different pit stops. Actually 2.3 for Zane. 3rd best. That's a decent start in that, though. I think 18th or higher, at least. Thankfully, it's only mostly cost him a gear. How did he lose a gearbox? They're in the rear of the car. How has he hurt a gearbox by smashing into the back of another car? That makes no sense. Thankfully, he only hurt 2 old parts, and suspensions are actually in now as well. So I can actually look at how the car stacks up with all 4 parts with Mick. That looks pretty reasonable to me. Very good at high speed, apparently, which China is. 20th overall, apparently. I don't think so. Would I like to invest in Nicola Lacourt, who is an Aston Martin driver? 49 rated driving in F2, apparently. Okay, whatever. No. Obviously not, I would not. Obviously, I would not like to spend 200 grand of my little remaining money on that. Well, it is a sprint weekend at China next time around, so I'll see you for that. But if you enjoyed this episode, the crazy transfers, the crazy race, actually, I'm glad it started off that way because that's promising. It got a little tame towards the end of last year. Already, madness in Australia. What an opener. I appreciate that very much, F1 Manager 24, here now in 25, technically. But thank you for joining me. Until next time. Ciao.